All right, do. Time to go back to the classics. I'm here with Mr. Games with T. I'm always so tempted to say VG Mashup. we talked.
Whichever one, they all work.
We talked Mario before. We actually did a direct impression, a Mario direct impressions. I enjoyed that episode. But I also noticed on your top games of all time, spoiler alert, number 2 was Super Mario Odyssey. So
Number 7.
was it 7?
7th.
Oh, 2
But still
upside
very high.
down looks like
Yes, yes.
There's some confusion. Okay, well, it was up there anyway, and so
Yes.
and I just thought, like, what better topic, especially with the new Super Mario Wonder coming out soon, could we do than talk about the Mario series as a whole? So today we're gonna do a little retrospective on the mainline Mario games, talk about each one of them, and just maybe some overall impressions. Before we begin, do you want to just say anything about Mario?
Well, spoiler alert. Since I added 3 titles, at least 3 that I can remember right now, direct Mario games in my top 100, it's pretty safe to say that I'm a big fan of the franchise. And that's not to say that the rest of the games are not worthy. It's just that I didn't want to flood my top 100 list with Mario games. So they're popular for a reason, and I am fully on board with why they're popular. And honestly, Nintendo does a wonderful job of making games, these types of games that, seemingly are very simple. They look simple, but in the background, there's a lot going on. And I really appreciate that.
Mm. So here's how this is going to work. We're going to go chronologically by release. It's actually Japanese release, but I did put the American dates. And we're going to just ask, like, have you played it? How was it? Or how is it? And what's significant about it? So let's start. And if you want to follow along in our Discord chat, I did put a Google Doc of just everything outlined. But the first one is, the first mainline Mario game is none other than Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It released in the US in September of 1985. Sales, it sold 40.24 million units with the NES. So, have you played it?
Absolutely, I have. And I really enjoyed it for the time. But if you don't mind, I'd like to go back even further with my very first experience of Mario, not in this game, but with a Game & Watch Donkey Kong that I got way back in the day. I was living in Karachi at the time, and I begged my father to take me to one of the stores, one of the local electronics markets over there, and we got a Donkey Kong Game & Watch that featured Mario in there, I believe, as the villain. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was the villain. So from there, then moving on to Super Mario Bros. On the NES was a very eye-opening experience, a difference. Now, I played Super Mario on the NES way later, way later, but I was aware of the game. I saw a lot of coverage on it, even when I would go in stores, even though I didn't have a Nintendo. Like you mentioned, you could only afford one console, so I went with the Genesis. I couldn't afford Nintendo. But even walking through the aisles, Toys R Us and stuff like that, you could see Mario present, kiosks playing the games and stuff like that. So I did experience it that way. But yes, I did eventually play Super Mario Bros. And I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. This is before my time, so I can't tell you where I was because I wasn't, when it released. But I do think that it's the first, I don't remember exactly. I think it's the first Mario game I remember or have any experience with. Something, it's just so iconic that either I've created the memory of just, jumping over World 1, 2, and then going down the warp pipe into World 4, because that has just been with me for my whole life, or I saw it somewhere. I don't know. I know the first one I owned was not this one. My first console I owned was an N64. As you said, one console at a time. But it was iconic in many ways. And then the first time I really played it was, I'd say on the Wii, on the Super Mario All Stars release, where I played it through start to finish. It's basically the same game, just with a palette swap. And just as far as, significance goes, I think it's an important game to play. It's not my favorite in the series or even out of the 2D ones, but for what it was, there had to be a Mario 1. There had to be a game that started it all, that was like the strongest platformer of its time to influence all other platformers going forward, and this was it. It's a little stiff by today's comparisons. I almost get Mega Man vibes from it, with sometimes like how Mario can just like fall. But I think everybody should experience the first Super Mario Brothers.
100%. Yeah, it's very fascinating. You think of the original iconic places or stages of the game, and I only wish that I was there from the beginning, because of obviously I learned way more about Mario as time progressed. But you have a piranha plant coming out trying to eat you, and then all of a sudden one of those same pipes, you go down to a secret level. That's such a fascinating concept for somebody that has never experienced a game like that before, coming from the Atari or whatever. I can only imagine the excitement and awe as you're playing a game like that after some of the Atari games.
Yeah, totally. Well, speaking of adventure, we're going to adventure on to the next mainline entry for the States. I am skipping Super Mario Bros. To the Lost Levels. I don't think it's worth talking about. It's basically Mario 1 plus. So, Super Mario Bros. 2 released for the NES in America in October 9th, 1988. And I don't have the date up, but I believe what I saw is that it came out 2 years earlier in Japan in 1986. As far as sales go, this game is the fourth best-selling game on the NES with 10 million copies sold worldwide. So, have you played it?
Absolutely. I have played it, but there's a issue that I have with a lot of the earlier Mario games, and I don't mean to offend all the Mario enthusiasts out there, is a lot of them sort of blend together. So I can't really tell you many distinguishing factors unless I play it again. Then I'll say, oh yeah, I remember this about that's the second entry of Mario. But yes, I have played it.
Well, a little did you know fact. Did you know that Mario 2 is actually Doki Doki Panic reskinned? Because, okay, every YouTuber has said this. So I used to, Jaded Me used to be like, well, I'd rather they just made another Super Mario Bros. 1. But they did. It's the Lost Levels, and it's way too hard. You can't even get past freaking World 4, like, if you're, like, even, like, a standard gamer. So I don't hate this one. I've played it on the Game Boy Advance through to most of the end. And again, the Game Boy Advance version is basically the same game. There's not any drastic overhauls as far as like level design or gameplay goes. Birdo has a voice. It curses you out. It's weird. But I like the concept, and I like the lack of time limits. It almost does make it feel more of an adventure. Some of the character design is wonky. It's like the introduction of Shy Guy as like instead of Goombas. So as far as like significance goes, I think this game was pivotal in designing some of the Mario staples that we see today, especially as far as spin-offs go. The game in and of itself is technically the first Mario spin-off. I don't go back and replay it a lot. I know you could play as Peach, Toad, Luigi, Mario, but they all feel just a little off to me, and I never got the full groove of it. But my opinion has changed. I used to be like really like against this game, I feel like it was overblown a little bit, but I do think it's a decent game. Let's go next to the last of the NES trilogy, Super Mario Bros. 3 for the NES, released in America February 12th, 1990. This is the third best-selling NES game with more than 17 million copies sold worldwide. Have you played it?
So here comes my pile of shame. No, I have not played Super Mario Bros. 3. Although I probably have inadvertently played some levels through um, what's the word I'm looking for? Through certain remixes and stuff from some other games within Nintendo's franchise, but this particular one, no, I have not played.
Do you know anything about it?
Oh man, I'm drawing blanks right
Oh,
now
I'll
when it
fill you
comes
in
to
then.
this
All
one.
right, so it's got the Tanuki suit, which is the raccoon. This is where that
Oh,
started. So you can run, and there's like a little power up bar, and as far as if you run for a certain amount of time, you can jump, and then he starts flying over a level. So that's a good way to kind of cheese through the game. It was the introduction of the Mario overworld map. So like where Mario like can go to, there's multiple paths you can go, and then there's like 8 worlds. It's got the airships. It's got the kid Koopas, like the little Bowsers. So this one is a lot of people's favorites. It's my personal favorite of the NES trilogy, maybe my favorite 2D Mario game. So I don't know if that rings any bells, but if it does or doesn't, do you have any interest in playing it?
100%. Yes. So it does ring a lot of bells. The obviously some of the stuff that you've described is like I said, even though I have not played the game personally, a lot of those concepts that Nintendo introduced in this game have sort of moved on to some of their other games that they have brought later within the Mario universe. And that's pretty neat. But yes, this unfortunately is one of those games where I just have not gotten around to it. But yes, I'm very interested.
Cool. I've only beaten it once, and my memory's a little foggy. I played it on the 3DS Virtual Console. I would like to play it. I have an NES now, so maybe I'll play it that way. But also, the Switch Online service is good for that. So, classics. Speaking of classics, we're going to go next to the Game Boy. We're actually going back in time because in America, we got this one first. I think that maybe what happened is Super Mario Bros. 3 came out earlier in Japan. But Super Mario Land on the Game Boy released in July 31st of 1989. The game sold very well. And by the way, all these sales and other information is from the Mario Wiki. They made a point of every time I copy pasted this to remind me and say that's licensable under the Creative Commons. So there you go. I'll put a link in the description. But it was the 4th best-selling Game Boy game with over 18 million copies sold. Additionally, is currently the 10th Super Mario game with the most sales overall, as well as 6th best-selling portable Super Mario game. That's weird because they group in the Switch for that, and the Switch is more than just portable, so I don't love that assessment. But Super Mario Land, have you played it?
So let me tell you a fun fact about Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced. For the very first time this year through Nintendo Switch Online, I played and beat my first ever Game Boy game. And that happened to be Kirby something something. I don't remember what it was. But that is my history with Nintendo's portable consoles. And there's a reason for that too that we can discuss later on. But the point is that, unfortunately, even with my top 100 list and stuff that you've seen, there's not a lot of retro coverage, and this is one of the reasons why. I just wasn't exposed to it at the time.
I never played this
So
one. Yeah, so that makes
never
sense.
played. Yeah, never played it.
I wanted to, but I understand that it's the weaker of the Game Boy games, and it's only an hour, and it's on the service, so maybe I will play it. Just I'm not that interested. I mean, it looks kind of dated by Mario's standards, even. So, yeah.
I honestly want to play games like these that are sort of a blueprint of what the Mario franchise has become today. So it does fascinate me how Nintendo brought some of these games to their handheld at the time, and how those concepts hopefully live on to this day. I probably have to play and see, but it's always fascinating. You mentioned with the Super Mario Bros. 3 and some of the other games, they introduced concepts way back in the day, and yet they still live through some of their recent releases, which is just a fascinating thing.
Let's go to a different console, the Super Nintendo. Super Mario World, released in August of 1991. I believe it was a launch title for the system. Sales, it was bundled with the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, making it the most sold game for the SNES, selling 20 million copies. So, have you played it?
Very little. So, like I mentioned before, Sega Genesis, Nintendo, I went the Sega route, so I didn't even have access to a Super Nintendo. As a matter of fact, I still don't. I don't have a Super Nintendo, but they have made it accessible through the Switch Online and um, other means to play the game. That I have played it, but very briefly,
Okay.
sadly.
Yeah, that makes sense. I hadn't played it fully until a couple years ago, where we did like an episode for the button mappers, and I don't think I would have played it if we weren't doing that. To be honest, it's a quick game. It has the cape, so Mario can fly in it, like with the Tanuki suit. I just never got the full groove of it. If you played Mario Maker, like part of the aesthetic in that game is based off of what was like the visual style for this one, so it's influential in that way. Um, but yeah, I'm not. It's not my top Mario game by any means. Uh, I know you're not big on the Game Boy, but this will be the last Game Boy game, promise. Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, November 1st, 1992, and sold over 10 million copies. So I'll ask, I assume you didn't play it, but do you know anything about it?
Yeah. So no, and this. I'm glad you brought me on this episode because this is sort of a reminder. Hey, maybe you want to play. As somebody that loves history and fascination of how companies evolve, I really do need to dive into these games. So no, I don't know anything about it, but hopefully you'll tell me some interesting stuff about it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, this kind of feels like a Zelda Mario in a weird way. There's like 6 areas. Each has a different golden coin. A very interesting art style. Like it's out there concepts. Like I wonder what was going on at Nintendo when they made this. Introduction of Wario. He's like the castle boss. So you got to get the 6 golden coins to get into his castle. I don't even know why. It's not to save Peach. It's like to get mushrooms or something. So yeah, pretty cool game. Pretty quick. You can play about an hour or two. So yeah, that one. If you're gonna play one of them, one of the Game Boy ones, I would go with that one.
Okay.
Great music too. Let's go next to a system I do know that you know, and a game that I do know you played, Super Mario 64 for the N64. This one released in Japan first in June of 1996 and in America in September of 1996. It is the best-selling game for the N64, selling 11.62 million copies worldwide. Tell me, what do you know about Super Mario 64?
I know quite a bit. So now we are getting into the territories where I can actually talk about Mario with a little bit more expertise, quote unquote. But yes, I have played it, and let me tell you another story to share with this. So I am a former Navy guy, and I was stationed on one of the ships in Virginia, and myself and some of my crewmates were big into the N64. A lot of the people were primarily PlayStation, but some had N64s. And what was really interesting is I never owned Super Mario 64, but they did. And I was more into the Star Foxes and stuff like that on the N64. But when I sat down and initially started watching them play Super Mario 64, that was one of those times where I said, "Man, I really wish I had this game instead." And it was a close to launch title. I don't remember. I think it was a launch title, but it was so fascinating. What an introduction to 3D Mario. I know by today's standard, you can say, okay, it hasn't aged all that well, even though I think there's a lot of charm to be had. But back in the day when 3D was just starting off, it was a really fascinating title, and I played it, I watched it, I did a lot of things associated with that game, and I really have fond memories of it.
Totally. It's got so much personality that I think even today it's worth exploring and experiencing. Just the systems, like it's so satisfying to just go in and collect stars. Every star has a story. It has a name, and every world has its own signature, features and a boss. Like the second one has a giant thwomp on top of a castle, or the first one's got King Bob-omb. It's so many cool things like that. I do think towards the latter half of the game, it starts to feel like, oh, did they do this already? But it's really an adventure. Fighting Bowser 3 times, even though I hate the mechanics of trying to swing him onto the exploding bombs, it's such a cool adventure. Every time you go into the Bowser Warp Pipe, and the dramatic music plays, the music of Super Mario 64 is iconic. The exploration's great. Yeah, the camera has 8 directions, but I mean, I think it works well enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, for the time it was simply amazing. I just remember the very first moments where you sort of warp into these pictures and through certain events you're sort of sliding down these little paths and mazes collecting coins. It's such a fascinating these little things that I remember that just kind of put a smile to your face
Oh,
back
totally.
in the day. Yeah,
That's a
it was
huge development, because up to that point, what's the biggest adventure? Super Mario Bros. 3, I guess, maybe Mario World, but those were still like overworld map exploration. They hadn't even dreamed of having a castle, or, like even just walking around the castle is an adventure. So that's
very, very
important.
much so. Yeah.
Speaking of adventure, who doesn't love a little sunshine in their adventure? It's Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube, released in July 19, 2002 in Japan and August 26, 2002 in America. It is the third best-selling game for the GameCube. It sold about 6.3 million copies. Have you played it?
So remember when we were talking about piles of shame? Here comes another one. Unfortunately, GameCube is probably one of those systems that I just don't have a lot of exposure to. And Mario Sunshine, I know it's a terrible excuse because the game was re-released on the Switch, which I do have, but I just never got around to playing it, sadly. But I really do want to.
You should. It's a beautiful game, great aesthetic. I think Terry played it just like a year or two ago, and he had a really good time. And if Terry has a good time, that's got to say something. So, I love this game. It's a childhood favorite of mine. Just the idea of like this tropical setting, it's so cool. And I don't feel like there's much to say other than play it. It's
That
just
comment, what you just said about Terry, that has made me that has convinced me I have to play it now. That's so funny. I started laughing.
good enough. That's all we need. Terry's
That's all we need. Yes. Now I have to play it to see why he enjoyed it.
There we go. All right, let's go to the DS. New Super Mario Bros. DS, released in May of 2006 in America, then May 17th of 2006 in Canada, then May 25th, 2006 in Japan. I guess they didn't really care about this one. New Super Mario Bros. Is the best-selling game for the DS, having sold 30.8 million copies worldwide. Have you played it?
So I was a late adapter to the Nintendo DS. However, one of the very first games that I got with my Nintendo DS was this particular title, and I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know whatever it was about it. I don't know if you've played it or not, but at the time, if you are playing a Nintendo console and you're going to start off with a Mario game, um, that's the way to do it. And this one, as you turn into that big Mario and he's kind of destroying everything in its path, it was such a fascinating experience right then and there. I knew that I was going to have a lot of fun with this one. And yes, not only did I play it, but I beat it very close. It didn't take me long at all to complete the entire game. I really had a blast with it.
Agreed. It's a very playable and fun game. The only thing I do remember about it, though, is that giant mushroom. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
would like to play it again and see if there's anything else of substance there.
Yeah, but I mean, once again, for me, like I said, it was not only just playing that Mario game, but also the fact that it was a brand new console. I just gotten the DS, and that was the very first game that I started with, and it was just a match made in heaven, I guess, if you will. So yes, but I do have to replay it again because I bought my DS long, long time ago, and I haven't played it since.
I think that's an interesting point. Is that yeah, for a new system, like that was a really cool experience. I think for me that was more like Mario Kart DS, but I do think that there's merit to the Mario on the go. One place she's going is outer space. It's Super Mario Galaxy, released for the Wii. First in Japan, November 1st, 2007, then America in November 12th, 2007. Super Mario Galaxy is the 8th best-selling game for the Wii, selling 12.72 million copies worldwide as of September 2017, and really recently, 2021, 12.8. Have you played Super Mario Galaxy?
Yes, I have, and I really liked it. However, I will say that there are some aspects of it that I don't like as much as others. Um, Maybe it's just the camera angles that get me a little dizzy when I'm playing the game because the rotational thing that's going on within the game. But I do like the adventure aspect. I do like the outer space aspect, and some of the levels that are more flushed out are really, really well put together. So all in all, I do like Mario Galaxy quite a bit.
Yeah, I think I played it back in the day on the Wii, and I remember it being like a very significant game and kind of like just a grand experience. I think the orchestral, like just zooming off into space, like it almost felt revolutionary in a way, which is apt because they used to call the Wii the Revolution before the Wii. But it felt that way in the same way that Mario 64 kind of feels like a just like a wow, like a groundbreaking experience. I just don't know that I really care for the experience as much as I care for like Mario 64 because Mario 64 is already like exploring space. It's just but now they're really leaning into the space and the planet concept, which I don't know. I mean, it almost seems like they're just doing it for the maybe because like it matches with the Wii and the motion controller or something, but I don't hold this game in the highest regard. I did replay it recently for the Switch, with the All Stars game, but I'm not fully invested in it.
Yeah, there's like I said, the camera angles did get to me on it at times. I think that the way your character rotates around that sort of is a bit disorienting, but the actual more flushed out areas and locales of the game, I think were pretty well designed, and I had a lot of fun with those. I did also play it on the Switch as well, and I'm not the biggest fan of motion controls. However, admittedly, Nintendo's motion controls were on a different level than maybe some of the other people that developed on the Wii. But as a Switch game, yeah, I had fun with it. Not, I won't say it's my favorite game, but definitely I have fond memories of it.
Good. We'll go out on a fond note. One thing Mario fans might be fond of is a new Mario Bros. Game. And we got a new one. It's New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It came out on the Wii. First in the UK, November 12th, 2009. Then America, November 15th, 2009. Then that looks like Italy or the Czech Republic, November 15th, 2009. What is the blue flag with a circle of yellow stars? Well, that one, November 20th, 2009. And then finally, Japan, December 3rd, 2009. It is the fourth best-selling game on Wii, having sold 30.32 million copies as of 2021. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Have you played it?
Yes, I have. I enjoyed it. It's a very capable Super Mario Bros. Game. I enjoyed the use of motion controls in it. I think they did a pretty good job of not making it too overwhelming, but adding enough functionality to make it enjoyable. So that was a fun experience for me. Especially how so I remember specifically how the Mario would sort of float up and sort of I guess glide, for lack of a better term, throughout the levels. That was fun for me. But yes, I have played it. Nothing like I won't say it's not on the same level as some of the later Mario games, but I did enjoy my time with it.
Okay. I never played this one. I know it's come out on the Mario Bros. U collection. I don't know. I'm not like that enticed by it.
Yeah, they're not anything too like for example, I played it on the Wii, but I didn't bother with the Wii U, and I played it briefly. I think there's a Switch port too. I don't know if it's all a continuation of the same game or not. I played a few levels on the Switch, and I just didn't feel the same way, the same passion as I did for the Wii. Weirdly enough, because I think there was a little bit more when they added motion controls that once that was taken away, it made the rest of the game ordinary.
Good to know. One thing that was not ordinary was going back to space. Mario's Galaxy 2, Super Mario Galaxy 2, came out on the Wii. Again, a weird thing with the UK and then the US, but it looks like the general release date was November 2009, and then Japan, December 2009. As of July 2010, the game sold 1 million copies in the US and 6.36 million copies worldwide. Have you played Super Mario Galaxy 2?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, another one of games that I just have not experienced as of yet.
I own it, but that one may just, I think its time may have come and passed. I don't know if I'll ever set up my Wii U again. But if I do, I guess it'll be to play that game. And so before I get rid of my Wii U, I will definitely make it a point to play Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah, sadly enough, if they would have maybe ported it like they did, make it a little bit more accessible on the Switch, I probably would have played it. But yeah, the setting up the Wii or Wii U to play that is a chore within itself.
A missed opportunity. You're going to put the 3D All-Stars and you're going to leave one of them out, and it's only one of 4? Come on.
Yeah.
So, too bad. That's your fault, Nintendo. All right, let's go next back to the 3DS. Classic platform. New Super Mario Bros. 2. Something to do with golden coins. It released first in Japan, July 2012, then August 2012 in a couple other regions, as well as America. As of September 30th, 2021, it is the 5th best-selling 3DS game, having sold about 13.39 million copies worldwide. Have you played Super Mario Bros. 2? New Super Mario Bros. 2?
Yeah, so I did play it. I primarily wanted to check the 3D functionality of the game itself. However, I will say I did not finish it. It was a game that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the gimmick, but nothing really stood out beyond that to me at the time. And I don't remember why I stopped playing it, but yeah, so that's my history with it.
Yeah, the whole premise of that one was just like coins everywhere. Like everything turns into coins. I just didn't get the point. Like okay, so is this supposed to give you the satisfaction of getting more lives or something? Or you should see how, like the challenge is to see how many coins you can get? I just didn't care. And maybe it was a platform thing too. I don't know.
I agree.
Let's go to a favorite console, the Wii U, New Super Mario Bros. U. Okay, so they do categorize this one separately. November 2012, December 2012, end of the world. It ended with Mario U. As of March 31st, 2014 is the third best-selling game for Wii U, having sold about 4 million copies. In September 2021, 5.82 million copies. You said you played this one?
No, so I skipped the Wii U versions of this one. So I played the Wii, and then I played also on the Switch that was re-released. But this one I never played.
Okay. Yeah, me neither. I think I'm okay to skip it. Let's skip instead to Super Mario 3D World. Probably a more important game. Released on the Wii U in Japan 2013, in America November 2013. Both November. As of March 1st, 2020, it is the second best-selling game for the Wii U, selling 5.83 million units worldwide. Have you played Super Mario 3D World? I know you've played Super Mario 3D World.
Yes, I have played Super Mario 3D World. It was a game that really, and I played it both on the Wii U and on the Switch. So I've played it, a few times. So that probably tells you whether I like it or not. I really like the innovation here that Nintendo did with the suits that they give. Mario, the cat suit, the him skating around in the ring, all kinds of stuff. I really, really like this game, to be honest. Yes, the camera angles are a bit challenging at times, but for me, looking past that, I think I really had a great time with this quote-unquote 2.5D-ish Mario game that features a lot of really cool ideas, in my opinion.
And this may be one of the best co-op games I've ever played.
I agree.
It's a co-op game I'm actually interested to play with people,
Oh yeah, and not to mention the levels that they included, the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker levels that they included with that kind of morphed into its own games as they were sort of an idea in this game, and it kind of morphed into its own game. So that tells you about some of the things that they were doing were very creative within this game.
Did you ever end up playing the Bowser's Fury segment?
100%. Yes, I did. I enjoyed that quite a bit as well.
Any good? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very different from this particular game. It is more of an open world 3D Mario experience rather than this game right here. But yes, very good in its own right. But they're two completely different things. But when you put them in one package, like they did later on, yeah, 100%. Loved it.
Cool. We are staying on the Wii U with Super Mario Maker. It's one of the last titles for the Wii U, released in September 2015 in Japan and the US. And as of September 2021, the game sold 4 million copies worldwide. Have you played Super Mario Maker?
Yes, I have played it and I enjoyed it, but with a caveat. I really enjoyed the Nintendo made levels of the game, but when it comes to making levels or playing user made levels, that was sort of a iffy experience. So I did not enjoy making levels myself. That's just not my thing. I'm sure it's a great feature, but it's something that I don't like to do. As far as user created levels are concerned, some were good, some not so much. So when it comes to the Mario levels, or excuse me, Nintendo created levels, I really, really enjoyed that segment of the game. I liked how they blended all the different visual styles and aesthetics, basically, reliving or bringing back memories from the past into this game. But then when it came to some of the user created levels, that was sort of hit or miss.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm surprised that they made this like at the end of the Wii U life cycle. I didn't play it. I didn't care to play it. I didn't own a Wii U even at that point. By the time I owned a Wii U, forget it. Like I don't even know who was sharing levels on a Wii U. But I if the whole idea was playing like fan levels, like yeah, they looked crazy, but they looked insane for the sake of being insane, just to add like complicated and convoluted stuff. So at that point I would rather just experience Nintendo's levels, but I would rather do it in like a standalone game. But are you saying that are the Nintendo levels alone make this game worth it or no?
I believe so. Yes, they do make it worth it. But if you like to create things, then obviously it's probably for you as well. So you can create levels and then play your levels or share them online. That is just something I've never resonated with. I don't like building stuff.
No,
It's just not my thing.
no, me neither. Okay, I included this one because of significance. If this seemed insignificant, I wouldn't have. But it's Super Mario Run. Came in on iOS, Android, Apple devices. It's December 15th, 2016. On the first day, it received 3.5 million downloads. And as of October 2018, it's been downloaded nearly 300 million times. Have you played it?
So it's funny you mentioned that because I was probably one of the guys that did download it on the first day when they've released a demo of it. But about 10 minutes or 15 minutes into it, I offloaded it because I had enough of it with the game. It's just that's not what I want a Mario game. When I'm playing Mario, it's not for me. I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, I did not download this. It did not seem like something I would enjoy. So I'm glad that's the end of it, hopefully.
Tried it, didn't like it.
Let's go to one that I know we both like. It's Super Mario Odyssey for the Switch. This game came out on October 27th, almost entirely worldwide. There were a couple places that came out later. By March of 2023, the game has sold 25.76 million copies. So you've played Mario Odyssey. I've played Mario Odyssey. It's on your top 10 games of all time. What's up with Mario Odyssey? Why is it so good?
Well, if you look at Mario Odyssey as a whole, you are going to see Nintendo, I think, in full creativity mode. And I've always said this about Nintendo games. They are all about creativity. And I think, and obviously, within the worlds that you visit in this game, there are some levels that are more creative, that have a lot more going on than some of the others. But overall, as a complete package, if you are into 3D platforming and you want to experience games in a variety of ways, and what I mean by that is various ways to solve puzzles, various ways to tackle, or not tackle, but I mean visit different locales, different features within games. You have a gimmick where you can sort of possess things. There is a rendering of New York City. There's 2D mixed blended in with 3D levels in very, very creative ways. There's the inclusion of boss battles that, yeah, are not the strongest, but they're still very interesting and at times iconic. And also just the level variety. I think the level variety and how you play, like I remember you're going to whatever the level is called. It's like an Amazon level, and you possess one of these accordion type creatures. I don't know what they're called. I'm sorry, I'm not good with the Nintendo nomenclature. And you kind of traverse different areas that you possibly couldn't reach otherwise. There's so much of that going on within this game. I just absolutely love it.
I've played this once and I feel similarly. There's so many unforgettable moments in this game. Just if you say the name Super Mario Odyssey, I'm going to think of like the moon level. I'm going to think of, I guess, spoiler alert for the final boss, but playing as Bowser, I'm going to think of the serenity of that ocean level. I think there's a couple beach stages, but I really enjoy just kind of lounging and cruising through the worlds of Super Mario Odyssey. That's a great space-based adventure one. Forget Galaxy. Maybe you need a Galaxy to make Odyssey, but yeah, I'll take Odyssey any day.
It's a very well made game, yeah. And you do sort of go in space, not necessarily fully in space, but I do like the little touches, like how they add costumes to Mario for the area that is in. I think those little types of touches you don't really notice it as you're playing the game, but then you really come to appreciate it later on as you're like, okay, yeah, that was a really nice touch.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Speaking of a nice touch, you're gonna have to have one for Super Mario Maker 2 on the Switch. Released in June 2019. It sold by 2021 7.89 million units worldwide. Have you played Mario Maker 2?
I have, and once again, my comments don't change from the original on the Wii U. It's pretty much a rinse and repeat. So yes, I really enjoyed the Mario, or excuse me, keep saying Mario, Nintendo created levels. I really enjoyed those. As far as creating stuff, they made it a lot more user friendly, so I dabbled into it a little bit, but it's just not my thing. I gave up on that, and the user created levels. They are better in here. I think they are better, as in you can complete them and not sort of get really upset. So I will give them that. But yes, the game itself I did enjoy quite a bit.
Okay, cool. I have not played it. Don't know that I have any interest. I guess I should play like just to experience it, but I don't. I doubt myself when it comes to the creative components of the Mario Maker games or just creative tools in general in games. I own RPG Maker. I've never touched it, so maybe
Yeah, it's yeah.
just to dabble, but I can't see myself making a level or a game. Let's go to the last mainline game that's not even out yet. It's Super Mario Bros. Wonder. It will release in October. And so we obviously haven't played it, but how are you feeling about Super Mario Bros. Wonder?
I'm liking it. So I think there is a strong emphasis on co-op, which is always a good thing. I have heard there's no online co-op. A lot of people, and this is, I'm going to make a general statement, and I apologize if I offend anybody, but a lot of people tend to focus on things that they don't have or they don't get rather than focus on things that they do have or do get. And I think this is one of the cases here where with Mario Wonder, I'm just looking forward to once again creativity. And I keep repeating this word, and I know it's sounding like a broken record, but it's just the way the Nintendo designs these games. It's so creative in nature. I've seen some of the trailers, and I'm really looking forward to this game. Uh, I know it doesn't have online co-op, but offline, I'm fine with that. And even by myself, I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird to me that like gamers will do that because like I don't think Mario's ever been about online play. Like unless, maybe the Mario Karts and definitely not Smash because Smash Online is kind of janky. But I don't. Yeah, it seems like a weird criticism for the game. My thing is like it's a new Super Mario Bros. Game, and those series tend to feel a little samey. So I'm just nervous about that. Yeah, I know that they're doing like a couple new power ups, and I didn't know about the co op thing, so that's cool. But I think New Super Mario Bros. Wii was kind of like a big co op game, kind of like a Rayman Origin style game. So I'm not that interested in it, but kudos to the people who are. If it ends up being well reviewed and stuff, and it looks interesting to me, maybe I'll try it. I'm open minded.
Yeah, hopefully it does deliver. I mean, that's the thing. You never know until you start playing it as like, okay, yeah, this game is really doing something new or not. It's hard to speculate when you've only seen like a 2 minute trailer or something like that.
Sure. Well, that's the Mario mainline series. What do you think?
A plus, if not higher. I mean, yeah, Mario as a whole is one of Nintendo's strongest iconic franchises for a reason. I mean, its games are usually, um, you know, at least on average, really, really high. I mean, if you were going to give Mario as a whole a grade, I'd probably put it at least in the A for me.
Mm-hmm. It's almost 40 years of Mario. It's 38, and that's 20 mainline games, let alone, other entries, spin-offs. Uh, it's really, and, if you compare it to something like Pokemon, where the trajectory is kind of like, whatever. And similarly, like Pokemon has a game every year. Mario's just has kind of like that stamp of like the gold standard. Like I think of the Nintendo seal of approval that was like going on cartridges back in the day. When I think of Mario, like it needs to be at least this good in order to be a Mario game. And the Mario Run obviously is questionable, but they didn't pursue that, so that's a blip. I don't really factor that into a rating for the Mario games. I agree with you. It's like at least an A. I think that there is something there for everybody, and anybody who says like I can't enjoy a Mario game either just doesn't enjoy games or is lying to themselves. So I don't, I'm always impressed with what they're able to muster up there. What do you think about the future of Mario?
I'm honestly, so one of the things that I really appreciate from Nintendo is how they have sort of stood the test of time. They have introduced this mascot that is who knows how old by now. I probably should have Googled that, but I mean, he's quite old, and yet very, very significant, very, very strong amongst old gamers and new gamers alike. Now, you can make an argument that maybe a lot of older gamers appreciate him more than some of the newer ones, but I'd like to see the stats on that. I think that the future is very bright. I think with Nintendo, I think one of the things that they have done is the franchises that they have not ignored have continued to flourish. Now, I wish there were some franchises that they put a little bit more time into, but I think when it comes to Mario, not only its mainline games but also appearances in other games, I think people not only don't have a lot to complain about, but also I think they have a lot to look forward to in the future. And I'm the same way.
I think a couple of these titles are like more like, okay, we know this is going to make money. Like here we go. Like okay, new Super Mario Bros. Or okay, like Super Mario Maker 2. But I think that when I look at the series overall, that they made a game to kind of develop with the platform. Like, Mario 64 was revolutionary for 3D graphics. Mario Galaxy maybe is one of the best examples of like, a motion control or even a Wii game. It's probably one of the best Wii games. Mario Odyssey, classic. Mario 3D World, best co-op. So like I'm always looking forward to what is the big Mario game? What is the new Mario game that's really like pushing the boundaries? And so that's something that I think I would look forward to in the series. I don't think Mario Wonder is going to be it. I don't think Mario Wonder is going to be like a boundary pusher. I think it'll be a good game. But, I think that even though we're not getting it now, eventually, whether it's Mario Odyssey 2 or I can't fathom what a next gen Nintendo thing is. But I know Mario will be there for it.
100%. Nintendo is eventually going to release a new console, and whatever features that console has, we can pretty much rest assured that a franchise like Mario is going to take full advantage of those features, whatever they are, which we, of course, do not know at the point. But maybe a couple of years from now, when we're having another one of these perspectives, we can discuss that.
That's true. Looking at this list, are there any Mario games that you want to try that you haven't tried?
Absolutely. Yes. So, just for me, I need to play Galaxy 2. I need to play Sunshine. I need to play the games on the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance if there are any on there. And finally, Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES. I definitely need to play that. So
What
quite a few. Homework.
what I will say about the advanced ones is they're all remakes of prior Mario games.
That I'm skipping those.
Yeah, just skip them. You're fine. Some of them may be a definitive version, but even then, it doesn't really matter. So, just any way that you can play them. For me, I don't know. I don't. As much as like I heard you say like the Mario Maker levels by Nintendo are good. I don't know that I'd buy the game just to play them. At that rate, I'd rather just play Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, or something of that, ilk.
You're a fan of that game too. Awesome.
Um, I think I'd like to give the new Super Mario Bros. Games more of a try. Maybe not 2. I would skip that one on 3DS, but I would replay Super Mario Bros. 1, and then I definitely need to replay Odyssey sometime. Like I just casually, even content aside, just to play it. So maybe this year, maybe next year. Don't know. I have it.
That's what I'm doing right now.
Excellent. Cool. Well, let's call that a Mario retrospective. Thank you, Games with T.
It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun, and I think we discussed 2 of the biggest franchises. What more could we possibly talk about?
Some of the lesser ones. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that maybe some other time. This
Yeah.
was fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Next time will be From Software and Platinum Games.
There we go.